though. The time's just coming up to 10 to 7, and there's international outrage following a Ryanair flight being diverted to Minsk, the capital of Belarus. Opposition leaders say it was done solely so that the authorities could arrest the political journalist Roman Protasevich. Elena Korosteleva is Professor of International Politics at the University of Kent and is Belarusian. Good morning to you, Elena.
Good morning.
What more do you know then about how the flight was diverted?
Well, the flight basically was forced to ground at Minsk International Airport on its approach to the Lithuanian border. It was absolutely outrageous the way it was done. And unfortunately, I don't think that Ryanair pilots had the opportunity to continue with their flight, being escorted by MiG-29 jet of the military forces of Belarus. So basically being forced to the ground, they had to make a decision to go to Minsk Airport on the alert of the bomb threat.
And we're told that it is because the authorities in Belarus wanted to arrest an opposition journalist. What more can you tell us about Roman Protasevich?
It is precisely the case because out of 170 people, there was Roman Protasevich, who is actually resident of Lithuania, and he is a former founder, former director, editor of Nechta, which is a Warsaw-based media group that plays really very prominent role in covering people protests that erupted against Lukashenko last year, and actually continue up to this date. So Nechta is a very popular channel, kind of hosting about, I think about 3 million viewers. So basically, it is the channel that is very instrumental to airing the truth about Lukashenko's regime.
There has been quite strong international condemnation. The US ambassador to Belarus has described this as dangerous and abhorrent. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has said it's a serious and dangerous incident. What are you expecting to happen next?
Absolutely. I think it actually nears the level of state piracy, or I would say even state terrorism, simply because this was a European jet following the route from Greece to Lithuania, to European states, and then it was basically hijacked and forced to ground in Belarus. And this is totally unprecedented. And on the one hand, it seems like an absolute statement by Lukashenko, a statement of power and control, that he's still in charge of his own territory, and he thinks that he can do whatever he likes, apart from, of course, detaining and killing people in hundreds of thousands. But also, on the other hand, it is also a demonstration of weakness of the West in his...
well, yes, what do you think then that the West can do, or do you think NATO should take action about this? What sort of sanctions do you think there are against Lukashenko?
Well, there was a very interesting statement by Tom Tugendhat yesterday. He said, if we fail to act, we eventually act to fail. And I would totally agree with him in that sense. Because so far, the West response, including the European Union and UK, has been very, very almost lukewarm, bordering declarations and statements, declarations of concern. Of course, now there are 3 rounds of sanctions that were put against Belarus. But yet again, the sanction list, the first sanction list, didn't even mention Lukashenko. And they're mainly about asset freeze and ban on travel and so on, which actually openly made Lukashenko's authorities, administration laugh.
What do you think they should do?
Well, it's difficult, I think, in a sense that if sanctions were to be targeted and smart, they have to be massive, targeting Lukashenko's, the sponsors of Lukashenko regime directly. So it's not just about SSVs and travel ban. It's targeting Lukashenko's purses. But also continue with what several European states now started, Germany and Lithuania in particular, whereby there is now a hearing in court about Lukashenko's atrocities, or bordering the level of genocide against his own people. So there has to be more.
Elena, thank you very much indeed for your time this morning. Elena Korosteleva, who's Professor of International Politics at the University of Kent and is Belarusian.
5 to 7.